Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Glenbard East's virtual Open House 2020. It's set to be what is sure to be the most interesting school year that I've ever had to deal with and probably ever will have to deal with. But really looking forward to the challenges that come along with the day-to-day learning and teaching with this remote style. My name is Dan Voss, and I am your student's math teacher for this school year. And I'm really looking forward to everything that's going to be going on throughout the course of the year. We've gotten off to a really strong start as far as participation and engagement and attendance goes, and the kids have been working really hard. So really looking forward to see how all of this transpires. My goal ultimately is to create the best learning experience for your child and help get them from where they are to where they want to be. Math is obviously my area of expertise, and so I'm looking to develop those math skills along the way. But I also really put a premium on building up some of these other life skills like communication, collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, stuff that regardless of what your child plans on doing in their future, these are going to be valuable life skills for them. So throughout the course of this video, what you'll find are some pieces of information about me, about the course, some expectations, and at the very end, you'll find my contact information. Please feel free at any point to contact me with any questions or concerns that you have, and I'll be more than happy to address those. Feel free to pause the video at any point in case any of it is going too fast, and rewatch as often as possible. But welcome, and I look forward to a great school year. So just a little bit about me. As you can see from that first bullet point and from the picture there, I am a Glenbard East grad. When I think about my time at Glenbard East as a student, I've got nothing but positive memories. I had great teachers, great friendships, and a lot of positivity. And so for me to come back here as a teacher, it truly is a dream come true for me, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So I'm hoping that through my experiences in working with your children, I can help radiate some of that school pride and just really create great memories for them as well. This is only my second year teaching at Glenbard East, but it is my 10th year teaching overall. I've spent the previous 7 years at Plainfield South High School, and then the year before that I was at Kankakee High School. Of those 10 years that I've been teaching, this is my third year in which I'm teaching the Algebra 1 curriculum. And when I'm not teaching, you'll typically find me involved in athletics. So I currently serve as our sophomore offensive coordinator for football, and I'm our head JV baseball coach. But enough about me, a little bit about the course. So what we want to know about Algebra 1 is that it's going to continue to build on the foundations that were set last year in pre-algebra for students. And by the end of the year, it's going to help prepare them for Algebra 2, which they will be taking next year. One thing that may be different about this course compared to other math classes is that this is mastery-based. So what that means is the way that this class is conducted is that students must display an understanding of the material from each individual lesson prior to taking unit quizzes and tests. So what ends up happening, and I'll explain this a little bit more down the line, is at the end of each lesson, students are provided with a mastery quiz in which they must score a minimum score in order to unlock the next lesson's mastery quiz, and so on and so forth. And the idea behind this is to guarantee that students are truly understanding the material as they're learning it and not just coming along for the ride, and now we get to the day of the assessment and they're lost and they're still really not sure what's going on. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit. You can see the units in which students will be studying listed here below. And now we'll take a look at our grading policy. We do have a very standard grading policy. 90% and above is an A, anything in the 80s is a B, anything in the 70s a C, anything in the 60s a D, and anything below a 60% is a failing grade, which obviously we're going to do everything we can to avoid. Within our grade breakdown, we can see that the very strong majority in which our grade is weighted is on unit tests. 80% of the grade is based on how students perform on their unit tests. If a student doesn't perform as well as they would like, they do have the opportunity to retake that test one time. And in order to be eligible for that, students must go through a reteaching process in which they would sit down with myself or another math teacher go over their test, the questions that they missed, ask questions, perhaps do some practice problems, and then they are eligible to retake. Now, the retakes cannot hurt a student's score. If they do the retake and do worse on the retake than on the original, which is very rare, but does happen from time to time, then that new grade doesn't go anywhere in the grade book. However, if a student performs better on the retake, then I replace the old score with the new one. Quizzes make up 10% of the overall grade, and these cannot be retaken. A couple of reasons for this. One, just to help with that student accountability piece and making sure that they are properly preparing for their assessment. But more so because it's only covering a select handful of lessons rather than an entire unit. So it's not covering nearly as much material. And then lastly, 10% of the grade is made up of mastery quizzes, which I discussed before. So again, a little bit more specifics. At the end of each lesson, a student will have a mastery quiz available to them. They must score a 4 out of 5 at least in order to be eligible to take the next lesson's mastery quiz. So for example, if we teach lesson 1 today, the student takes the mastery quiz. If they get a 3, they take the mastery quiz again and again and again until they get at least a 4 out of 5. Once they get a 4 or a 5, then it unlocks lesson 2's mastery quiz. And again, the whole purpose of this is just to ensure that the students are truly learning the material at the time in which they should be learning it. And that's what allows them to propel forward rather than just kind of being dragged along and not necessarily knowing what they're doing and why they're doing it. Okay, and then the last bullet point there is that all mastery quizzes for the unit must be passed in order for the student to be eligible to take the unit exam. What we don't want is students to be going in on exam day not really knowing what they're doing, why they're doing it, and then end up struggling and failing. So the whole concept of this mastery quiz is to prevent any of that from happening. Lastly, if your child feels as if they are struggling, there is an abundance of resources available for them. But the most important thing that a child can do when they're struggling in class is to ask a question during class. And I know it can be intimidating to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and have questions in front of your peers. But as long as we keep that mindset that at the end of the day, we're trying to learn and better ourselves, I think that goes a long way. Now, with us doing Zoom meetings, there is an option where students can send me a private chat asking me to re-explain something or asking a question. And obviously, if that gets sent to me privately, I have an understanding that the child doesn't want that publicized. So I can discreetly answer that question just by re-explaining and not bringing any attention to the student. But that is an option. If a student would prefer to have like a one-on-one conversation, one-on-one Zoom calls are available. And you can see I'm available Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 1 to 2:30. Appointments should be made in advance, but it doesn't need to be too far in advance. It could be that day. A student can just say, can I come and see you at 1 o'clock? And then I'll send them the Zoom link so then that way we can meet up. A brand new option, which we're very excited about this year, is Glenbard East was afforded the opportunity to hire a numeracy specialist whose role is to provide additional support to all students in any math class. And that is Mr. Huber, who is also a Glenbard East grad. He is a certified math teacher with previous teaching experience, but he would be able to provide support in Algebra 1 as well. And then lastly, Khan Academy is kind of the fallback plan in case nothing else works. It's a free site where students can just type in whatever subject that they are in search of getting help with. And there will be an abundance of resources in terms of videos, practice problems, feedback, stuff like that, where students can get that extra exposure. Lastly, my contact information is here. Email is daniel_voss@glenbard.org. This is the preferred method of communication since I'm constantly checking it, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. The phone number that's listed down at the bottom, that is going to be to the phone that's in our math office, so it will be voicemail. and I don't get around to those as quickly as possible. If you would prefer to have a phone conversation, please shoot me an email with the time, days, and number that works best for you, and I will do everything I can to work something out within that time frame. So I want to thank you all for watching, and again, I'm really looking forward to working with your children throughout the course of this school year. And if at any point you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out, and I will be more than happy to have those conversations. Thank you again for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.